Okay, hi guys, and welcome to today's show. Today I'm going to be discussing my top 10 most underappreciated divers, a kind of follow-up to the video I did the other day with Federico, where we just off the cuff discussing our favorite 10 divers. Now, if you missed that video, have a look back. Should I put a card? I'll do one of those card things. I can't figure out left or right. Typical dyslexic brain. Maybe it's that one, maybe it's up there somewhere. Anyway, it's a very rainy, miserable, drizzly day here in New York, so as you can tell, I'm in a good mood. I love weather like this, as you guys know. So excuse me if I'm beaming with happiness. Of course, I got to do my wristwatch check, and yes, I am wearing, let me just zoom in there, the little Saab 033, there it is, still on the emerald genuine crocodile strap. Just really brings a whole kind of regal elegance to the piece. I do look very tired, I do apologize. The work this week has been immense, and trying to balance the channel with work. Haven't really slept that much, but anyway, determined to make these videos for you guys. I haven't worn this heavenly creature for absolutely donkeys, but here we are. Anyway, so wristwatch check done. Let's roll the intro and get into today's episode. Okay, welcome back guys. So, my top 10 underappreciated divers. Now, a lot of these were mentioned in the comments. About half of these were not, and I'm a little bit surprised. Now, first of all, let's start. Oh, by the way, before I get into this, I have to point out that every single watch I'm talking about, I've had experience with, I've handled, the same with the other top 10. I know there is a bit of a trend of watch channels discussing watches they've never even held or worn. I don't do that on this channel, as you know. Every single watch I'm talking about, I have either worn it, I have a friend who owns it, or I've reviewed it. Most likely I've reviewed it. Some of these actually I got reviews forthcoming, so stay tuned. Just a little disclaimer, you know, we got to keep it real on the Urban Gentry. That's what it's all about, right? Hence my motto at the start of every episode. So let's get a few obvious ones out the way. And first of all, the Citizen NY0040. Of course, the famously worn by the Marina Militare. I have reviewed this, so I have a look back in the archives. We have the Miyota 8203 movement. Has got manual wind, but strangely is not hackable. Odd that the Navy would choose a watch that's not hackable. But anyway, it's an outstanding watch, very unique design with the crown at the other, you know, the other side. Really great variations. I love the blue one. Very hard to find right now. The price is going up. I think it's been discontinued, with the exception of the Orient Ray 2. Probably comes in third or second place to the SKX at that entry-level price range. Outstanding diver, very strong, unique personality of its own. Its design, great loom, all the rest of it. It's an ISO certified diver, 200 meters water resistance. Especially, actually, if you wear it on the right hand, it's even more comfortable, I've found. But anyway, fantastic. We had to get this watch out of the way, and it really does not get enough appreciation. It's pure class, guys. Anyway, let's move on. Another obvious one. Let's get another obvious one out of the way. The original Tudor Submariners from back in the vintage, back in the day Tudor Submariners. The price on these, I mean, we have an ETA in there or an ETA movement, but the price on these has shot up. Very much inspired the new Tudor as well. Of course it did. The price, in my opinion, is ridiculous. I mean, at that kind of money, you might as well buy a Submariner, you know, Rolex Submariner. But we had to mention them. It's really becoming a kind of connoisseur's thing, the stealth version of its bigger brother. So we have to put it in there. Okay, another one I'm quite surprised no one mentioned was the Longines Heritage Diver. I mean, this thing, I actually tried one on in Harrods at the beginning of the year. It's a 42mm watch, 300 meter water resistant, very retro inspired, but somehow so classic. We got those two crowns there, that inner rotating bezel, dive time bezel. It's a real gorgeous touch, kind of sets it apart, has its own unique personality. My only downfall is I would certainly own one if it wasn't 42mm. The lugs were just a little bit too wide for my wrist. It's a gorgeous, gorgeous watch. Has a lot of style, a lot of charm to it, and kind of a romance of that mid-century golden era of divers, really does. I love the hour hand, that kind of leaf-shaped end on the hour hand. You know, it's just got a ton of personality. You can't deny it. It's gorgeous, and I just wish it was smaller. I mean, Longines, why? But for many of you, it's absolutely fine, you know. Inside we have the caliber L633, which of course is based on the ETA 2824, as a lot of these will be. All the mod cons, Sapphire, all the rest of it. They're not really that expensive either. Anyway, totally worth the money. So I'm surprised nobody mentioned that. Okay, moving on. Another one that did get a lot of mention, and people were like, why didn't you include it in your top 10? Well, it's top 10. You know, if this was the top 20, it would have been included. And that is, of course, the Glycine Combat Sub. I've owned two of them. Well, actually, I was lent one and I owned one. I since sold it. Fantastic watch. Don't get me wrong. I had too many divers, guys. Inside we have the Glycine caliber GL 224, which is basically the ETA 2824 again, but they have modified it beautifully. Probably one of the best performers of the 2824 I encountered at that price range. Very affordable, big military following. It's got its own personality, beautiful. Even though it's a 42, it wears incredibly well, mainly because of the curved lugs. 12mm there, really nice, but it even wears thinner. And the amount of variation of the dial colors, all kinds of variation, a really versatile watch. I absolutely adore the Combat Sub. It doesn't get enough love, and yeah, it should have been in my top 10. It would have been at number 11 undoubtedly. I was discussing the Combat Sub with Federico. He wasn't a fan because he feels like it's too much like a Submariner, but trust me, he hasn't seen one in person, and when you get it in person, it has undoubtedly its own personality, its own character, and it feels nothing like a sub. Trust me, nothing. Some of them look similar, but honestly, it's totally its own thing, and you've got to respect it. You can get them for around about the $1,000 mark. They're just fantastic. What's the depth rating? 200-meter water resistant. What more could you want? It's almost an icon in its own way. Kind of overshadowed by the Glycine Airman, obviously, because that's the true icon from Glycine. And my pick is definitely the ones with the 24-hour markings on the inner part of the dial. Absolutely fantastic. A true military watch with a big military following. Anyway, moving on. The next one, Federico, actually, talking of Federico, he did mention this, the Auris Tt1 Diver. This is the diver that came before the Aquis with that kettle-shaped case to it. He expressed his admiration for this watch, and I've got to agree, I came this close to owning one myself long before the Aquis, long before my channel in fact. Only thing put me off was the size. They're about 42mm, some versions go up to 44. There's the GMT version, which I absolutely love. Again, you know, I would have owned it if it hadn't been too big. Very much its own style. I love that shark teeth kind of hour markers. And it has the wave dial, a bit like the Bond Seamasters from back in the day in the 90s. Fantastic loom, absolutely outstanding loom. Inside, interestingly, we have got the ETA 2824. So this was before the Aquas. The Aquas, which has completely replaced the... I don't think Oris sell them anymore, which is a shame. But if you can pick them up on the used market, you can get them for about £1,000. Absolute bargains. Built like tanks. I think they're ISO certified. I'm fairly certain they are. I might be wrong, but guys, correct me if I'm wrong. Undoubtedly fantastic watches. So they did have the ETA because obviously the Aquas all came with Solitas. I've got to say the blue is really, really cool. Very understated blue especially. Okay, and the next one. Now this is one I'm going to get into review very, very soon, and that is the TAG Heuer Aquaracer. 300 meters, water resistant. We have the caliber 5 in there, which is a modified 28-24. Again, you know, you're going to see a lot of these. It's the go-to movement for a lot of these watches. I love the Aquaracer. It gets, you know, I get this asked almost every day. Why does the modern tags not get enough love? I don't know. There is a bit of a kind of snootiness about them. I'm not going to get into the politics of it, but I've got to say, from hands-on experience, the Aquaracer is an outstanding watch. 41mm in size, so it really fits a lot of wrists. Very conservatively designed. They perform impeccably well. The modifications that TAG did to the movement, I think whatever they did from personal experience, they really perform well. The only drawbacks are, I think the clasps and the bracelets aren't the best in the world, but you know, we're talking about £1,000, you know, 1,200, around that kind of mark, especially on the grey market. You can get them for that kind of prices. Just a great all-round watch. I mean, you know, I don't really see what the issue is. I'm going to get one into review, so stay tuned for that. But it has to go on the list because they are a little bit underappreciated. They're not that bad, guys. Really solid Swiss dive watch for the money, and I don't really see what the fuss is about. But anyway, guys, perhaps you can fill me in what the beef is with TAG. I mean, I know they have some very aggressive advertising, but it can't be that, can it? Anyway, let me know in the comments below. So I had to add the Aquaracer. From personal experience, I think they're great, and I will review one soon. Moving on, what have we got next? Well, this is actually one I'm really surprised that no one mentioned it, especially because I just reviewed one, and it is the Breitling SuperOcean Heritage. Gorgeous, gorgeous watch, based on their 50s icon. I mean, what more can you want? It's remarkably elegant, quite a tasteful, classy Breitling, especially for Breitling. That says a lot, right? I mean, when you think class, you don't necessarily think of Breitling. Breitling tend to be loud and quite bold, but this is a very understated one. Gorgeous. The quality is amazing. The 42 even wore well on my tiny wrist. 200 meter water resistant. Inside we have the Breitling caliber 17, which of course, just like so many others, is the ETA 28-24, but Breitling do a good job with them, and it's a fantastic watch with a personality and a heritage, like the name suggests. You can be proud of. And kind of following on from the Breitling, I've got to put the regular SuperOcean 2 in there. It's got a really cool design. I don't think it gets enough love. I really do. I think there's a, you know, we forget with the Breitlings, we think of their pilot watches, we think of their aviation watches. We don't really think of their divers. I have to put it in. I think it's a cool watch, and you can find these on the used market for an absolute steal. You know, just under, I think from about 1,000 to 2,000, you can get them used. So have a look on the used market. You know, chronometer certified. You know, what need I say? Like the Heritage, what need I say more? And on a rubber strap, I think they look absolutely gorgeous. Now this is definitely one that is highly, highly underrated, and it is the Ball Engineer Master 2 Skindiver. Again, I've reviewed this watch. Have a look back. Now, the second version is a slightly bit bigger at 42, but the first version is at 40mm with a day-date complication. Ball in general are very underrated because the quality is phenomenal. I mean, really luxury quality. The build, the finish is just amazing. Inside we have the ETA 28-36, but with day-date complication, obviously. What I love about the Ball watches, they have the tritium gas tube, so the luminescent is constant. They last for, I think, about 25 years or something like that. That's standard on all Ball watches. Sorry about the sound, it's raining again here. It's just the rain falling on my air conditioner. I love the design of this fantastic mesh kind of meshy bracelet. It's not really Milanese, it's their own mesh. Guys, check out the review of this because it's a phenomenal watch. And it reminds me a lot of the old 60s Seamasters, you know, the original Seamasters. It's got a ton of personality, and the best thing is these things, Ball really modified them. It's got 5,000 Gs of shock resistance, so it's a true tool watch. It really is, you know, like a tank, really is. And my preference is the first version because it's 40mm, although it does have that weird kind of 4 o'clock, 3 o'clock separated day and date. They've changed and upgraded the dial vastly on the new one. It's a shame they made it 42, but I understand, you know, that's the popular size, but it is going back. It is going back. Anyway, definitely worth a mention, guys, and check it out, the review, if you haven't seen it. Okay, moving on. Now, this has to get mentioned basically because of its phenomenal history, and that is the Eterna, the Super Kontiki limited edition 1973, which I think is most faithful, which is of course made in tribute to the expedition by Heuer on his craft, the Kontiki, of course, way back, when was it? 1947. That's crazy. It can't be right. All the way back then. Anyway, 200 meters water resistance. Did I mention the water resistance on the ball? I don't think I did. It's 300 meters on the ball. Sorry, just to finish that off. So the Kontiki. Now, guys, I did a video recently on Eterna with a brand with a very unique special history, especially with ETA. And this is the thing that kind of saddens me about the Kontiki, the new ones, is that they have the Sellita SW200, which kind of is a bit weird considering they're the company that gave birth to ETA, which so many of these watches that I mentioned are based on. I find it a little bit cheeky, almost disrespectful to their rich horological heritage. So actually my pick is not the new ones. Have a look for the used ones. You can get amazing used Kontiki divers on the used market, and of course using ETA, the ETA movement that makes Eterna so important to history. So I had to put the Eterna in there. Whichever version you get, they're great. They still have that lineage in them. Even though they have been bought by a new company these days. Just a shame about the ETA movement. It's very, very bizarre, but anyway, there we go. Okay, last but not least, I have to include it. Now, we mentioned the Squale 1521 in my top 10 iconic divers or favorite divers, and I did mention this one as well, but the Squale Master Professional. It's a true luxury watch. Inside we have the ETA 2892, fully decorated with that beautiful custom rotor, see-through case back. Even though this is a 600 meter diver, got a power reserve, that beautiful enamel bezel that you click down and to rotate. The quality, the level of detail, it is the flagship of the Squale range, and it should be up there with the big boys. It really should be. It has the date at the 12 o'clock, which is kind of unusual, but at the same time very endearing and unique to that diver. It is a big boy at 44mm. If it wasn't so big, I'd definitely have one. So well made. It's such a hefty tool watch, but at the same beautiful with all those indices and all that detail. It's something else. I mean, it really is. You cannot understand how beautiful that watch is until you feel it and wear it and see it in person. I was very fortunate enough to review one quite a while ago now. Fantastic brand, great heritage, and of course only 300 made worldwide, very limited edition, a true limited edition. So it's you know, what more can you want? Very unique and something a true dive connoisseur would appreciate. So I had to put it in there. Also, guys, there's the bronze version, the blues, the dive for the blue diamond bezel. There's the green one, just phenomenal. Even the black one is just gorgeous. Those rich, vibrant colors that Squale is just so good at doing. You know, it's exquisite watches. So, guys, that is my top 10 underrated dive watches that don't get enough love. Please do nominate yours in the comments below. I'd love to hear your suggestions. Thank you very, very much for watching. Please don't forget to like this video if you enjoyed it and found it useful. And as always, guys, I will catch you in the next one. Okay, ciao.